Hey guys, it's the Joker here, back to you today with another video. And in today's video, I just wanted to take the time to talk about the fact that I really wish that Eminem would have released a Greatest Hits 2 album in the year 2021. Instead of releasing a Greatest Hits album in the year 2022, because that's the year that I personally wish, in my opinion, that Eminem would have released a completely new album. Honestly, I am so fucking pissed and outraged and furious as hell that Eminem didn't release any album in 2022 during the time that he would have been only 49 years old, while still in his 40s and not even yet 50, even though he turned 50 that year on October 17 of 2022 to be exact. But I would have wanted him to release, of course, and obviously, an album in early 2022, like, I don't know, around the time of January to, March or April of 2022, during the time he would have been only 49 years old. And it would have been actually pretty dope if he released an album before even the 2022 Super Bowl, either before the Super Bowl or after the Super Bowl. And I can only wish he would have done that. But did he? Fuck no, because he's a dumb fuck. Even as a stan, there are just so many choices and decisions that he makes as a rapper that piss me off and just annoy the hell out of me. But, I think it would have been just so much better and greater if he would have released a Greatest Hits 2 album in the year 2021. Hell, even if he released it on the same month and day that he did, August 5, whatever, I don't really care when he releases a Greatest Hits album. I don't give a damn, because I don't even like those albums of his anyways. But, I'm literally so pissed that Eminem didn't release a Greatest Hits 2 album in the year 2021, when he would have been only 48. During the time, he would have been only at the age of 48 years old. So that in 2022, he could have, spent that year focusing on and planning on releasing an album, and hopefully in early 2022, and still during the time he would have been 49, while still in his 40s and not yet 50 years old yet. And I am just really irritated. I am dead serious. And, if Eminem was going to release a Greatest Hits 2 album, I would have wanted him to entitle it Shady Hits 2. Because I wanted his first Greatest Hits album, instead of being entitled Curtain Call, which I don't think is necessarily a bad name or anything, but if he would have released a Slim Shady LP2 album before releasing a Curtain Call album, I'm sorry, I apologize, messed up there a little bit, before releasing his first Curtain Call Greatest Hits album, I feel like he would have been more likely to have entitled his first Greatest Hits album Shady Hits, which, in my opinion, would have made more logical sense and would have been a more cooler name than Curtain Call, at least in my opinion. And, I didn't even want Eminem to release a bullshit-ass encore album. I really didn't. I wish more than anything that he would have released a Slim Shady LP2 album in the year 2003, when he would have been only 30 years old on, say, April 8, 2003, at the very latest of that year anyways. And I'm just pissed that he didn't release a Slim Shady LP2 album that year. I am so fucking pissed that he didn't. I am so pissed and enraged and furious as hell and frustrated and irritated and annoyed and just so fed up. I'm fed the fuck up with him and the fact that he didn't even release an album that year at all, because I would have much rather preferred him when he took his 4-year break and hiatus from making and releasing rap albums And if he would have released an album in 2003 instead of 2004, which he should not have done, his hiatus would have been 2004 to 2007 instead of being 2005 to 2008. And so if this would have happened, if this would have been the reality of things, if this would have been the case, as much as I wish it would have been in reality, he would have came back in 2008 when he would have been only 35, and that's the year he would have released his Relapse album, which would have made me so happy and at peace and relaxed. And I would have also been so happy and at peace and relaxed if he would have released an album in the year 2003, especially considering the fact that he didn't, and it doesn't make any logical sense why he didn't. It's honestly kind of weird. And also, here's another thing. 2003 was considered his last and final year that he himself was in his prime of his rap career. When it comes to, people who used to like Eminem and his music and his albums and thought he would have probably always been the greatest rapper of all time, those people say that Eminem, had his last and final best and greatest year in 2003. But past that year, starting in 2004, he had just never been the same. And that is why I wish that he would have released an album in 2003 instead of 2004. And if he would have released a Slim Shady LP2 album in 2003 when he would have been only 30 years old, which he definitely should have, I'm pretty sure we can all agree on that, I would have wanted him to then have released a Shady Hits Greatest Hits album in the year 2004 when he would have been only 32 years old instead of 2005 when he was 33, which is retarded. And I talked about in an old video how for a Shady Hits Greatest Hits album that I would imagine it with like a large picture of a moon rising above the horizon of like water with like stars in the sky, and it would have been like nighttime, of course, and then the moon would be yellow to be symbolic of and imply Eminem's Slim Shady era when he had his blonde hair, which I think would have been really cool and dope. And so for Shady Hits 2 Greatest Hits album, instead of having a yellow moon, I would just want it to be, a purple moon to be like symbolic of and, kind of in memory of Eminem's Slim Shady LP album, which kind of had a purplish, pinkish color to it. And that's the color the moon was on the cover of that album of his. But I also wish that, that Eminem would have released 3 Slim Shady LP albums to, have a Slim Shady LP album trilogy, which I think would have been really fucking awesome. And it could have been, the only album trilogy that he himself as a rapper could have and should have had, in my opinion, at least. I think that would have been great. I don't see why you could be a fan or especially stan of his and not agree with me on that, especially considering the fact that he never released any album trilogy of any of his albums. I mean, he released a Marshall Mathers LP2 album, but that's it. And it wouldn't make sense to release a third one. But, it would have been a dream come true for me, at least, if he would have made and released a Slim Shady LP album trilogy. And I can only wish he would have done that. I'm really pissed that he didn't. And so a Shady Hits 2 Greatest Hits album released in the year 2021 when he would have been only 48 years old, and during the time he would have still been at that age, he could have had, maybe a similar type of thing, like a moon rising above the water, but a purple moon this time, and maybe with like purple lightning and clouds and, to look more like angry. And then when it would have came to 3 new songs on that album of his, I would not have wanted them to be, unreleased songs like Is This Love featuring 50 Cent, which is not even that great of an Eminem song anyways, but also, like, I wouldn't have wanted him to have the songs like The King and I featuring CEO Lagreen or whatever that stupid bitch-ass artist's name is. I mean, I guess From the D to the LBC was a fine song to have on his greatest hits album, but I would have wanted him to have, put and had 2 entirely new songs that he would have made and released for that greatest hits album of his, and that at least one other song on the greatest hits album of his greatest hits 2 album, that I would have wanted him to call Shady Hits 2, to have a music video, since when it came to his first greatest hits album, he had 2 music videos, being Shake That featuring Nate Dogg and When I'm Gone. So I feel like it would have made a lot of logical sense for him to have one other track that would have actually had a music video made and included for it, where he would have actually been in it himself. But like, I would have wanted them to be 2 actually like new songs made specifically for that greatest hits album of his. And sadly he didn't, and I'm really pissed off that he didn't. And whatever, like, it's unfortunate, but anyways, that's what I wish he would have done, so that he could have released an actual new album in the year 2022 when he would have been 49 years old. But that's all I wanted to say in today's video. Let me know what you all think in the comment section down below. I'm out.